On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. There is a lot going on. Certainly don't know anything yet when it comes to the F-22, so I'm not trying to necessarily lead you guys in a weird direction, but a whole lot of things going on. We've got some interesting election news out of Fulton County. We've got some stuff going on in the world right now. Obviously, Europe is desperately trying to keep the Russia war going. That's going to get complicated very quickly, and it looks like Europe might be making a huge mistake. We'll be seeing that happen. Plus, a few lawsuits and stuff. We got a whole lot to talk about. Let's hop into it and get the ball rolling, as they would say. We've got right here multiple people reportedly dead after a plane crash in Statesville, North Carolina. We actually found out who was involved in this and who has passed away. It's very sad. Reports are now indicating that the private plane, which crashed this morning at Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina, was a 1981 Cessna Citation II with the tail number N257BW, owned by NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. He had his wife, his two kids were also on the plane with him. At least they got to go together. I think there's some beauty in that, by the way, to be able to die together with your family at the same time, too, and not necessarily having to watch them tortured or something crazy like that. But I'm not sure if he was the pilot or not, but very sad. They all have passed away. So, yeah, not good news. Deputy Director Dan Bongino is going to be resigning. Not a surprise at all. In fact, he I guess always said he was only going to do a year. I didn't know that. But he will be resigning early, likely in January, is what the expectation is. We had Donald Trump made a comment about it. Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show. Definitely, we've been talking about that a lot. Now, he did actually finally post something on X. He says, "I will be leaving my position with the FBI in January. I want to thank President Trump, AG Bondi, and Director Patel for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Most importantly, I want to thank you, my fellow Americans, for the privilege to serve you. God bless America and those that defend her." And of course, Kash Patel made a post in regards to this. He said, "Dan is the best partner I could have asked for in helping restore this FBI. He brought critical reforms to make the organization more efficient, led the successful summer heat op, served as the people's voice for transparency, and delivered major breakthroughs in long unsolved cases like the pipe bomb investigation. And that's only a small part of the work he went about every single day delivering for America. He's not only completed his mission, he far exceeded it. We will miss him, but I am thankful he accepted the call to serve. Our country is better and safer for it." So good on you, Dan Bongino. Appreciate you sticking out as long as you did. CNN's got some pretty nasty Quinnipiac poll numbers that are, well, not looking good for the Democrats in any way, shape, or form.
Feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
And again, there's a lot of discussions amongst many that like AOC is doing better in the polls than Vance for president and all this stupid stuff. They're just fake poll numbers, folks. Quinnipiac is pretty good, pretty solid. Again, it's a poll. Who cares? But it's the truth is coming out. And Quinnipiac is one of the better ones, frankly, to be honest. So, yeah, this is not good for the Dems. The Dems are definitely losing ground. And they're going to continue to, for that matter. This was a cool little graph that was shared. New electricity generation planned under the Trump administration for 2025 to 2030. So there's a lot of stuff planned. I was talking to a friend at the gym the other day, and he was like, I'd love to see where they could show us all the places where they're breaking ground on building new factories and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that would be really, really cool. And this kind of popped into my mind as something similar. So again, a lot of electricity generation facilities are going to be happening all over the place. Texas is its own grid. So all of that is fantastic because it's probably data centers and stuff along those lines. And then there is an east and west when it comes to the power generation. So there's three different three different regions, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. I honestly don't know where left and right splits. I know the Mississippi River is how they do it for radio, but I don't know when it comes to the electric grids where they actually split the country in half, whatever the case is. Yeah, they're doing it all over the place, which makes sense, and that's cool. I like the fact that there's a bunch of them in California. Amen to that. That'll actually be super cool. Trump's media company is going to be merging with a nuclear fusion startup. This is weird. I mean, I don't have any speculation. Trump Media and Technology Group announced an all-stock merger with nuclear fusion startup TAE Technologies valued at $6 billion. The deal provides TAE with up to $200 million in immediate cash and an additional $100 million upon SEC notification. Former GOP Congressman Devin Nunes, TMTG's chairman and CEO, and TAE CEO Michael Binderbauer, they're going to serve as co-CEOs of the combined entity. Merger injects resources into fusion development amid AI's growing energy demands and signals Trump's administration interest in advanced power sources despite scientific and cost challenges. He's smart to get into the fusion world. Fusion's been proven that it works. Cold fusion's one of the ones that they're still trying to figure out how to do, but fusion is definitely something that works, and it's a much safer reaction than fission. Fission is, and the difference for those that don't get it, fission actually splits atoms apart, causes neutrons to bounce around, they hit atoms, they break apart, and that breaking apart releases energy, so it fizzles, it fissions, it breaks, right? Fusion does what it sort of says. It fuses subatomic particles together. That process actually releases energy. So say like slamming two hydrogens together and forcing them together to where they become helium. That process actually releases energy. The way they do it is it requires a great deal of pressure and temperature to get the process going. Once the process is going, it's kind of self-serving and self-sufficient, and it continues in that vein. Fission, to stop a fission reaction, you got to drop rods down into the reactor. Those rods absorb the neutrons the best they can, but you've got this constant like bombarding happening. Fusion, if you drop the temperature and drop the pressure, you immediately stop the reaction. It's a much safer design and still actually produces a huge amount of energy. So it's a great way to go. The company's planning to begin a construction on the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant, 50 megawatts, decent size. It's supposed to happen in 2026, so good on Trump for getting in that. That's going to make a big difference. Dems are suing Trump for ending Biden's EV charger boondoggle. First off, this is 2 years that this has been funded, and very few charging stations have actually been produced. So, of course, we've got the same general states, 16 Democrat states. I think there's 22 total that keep doing lawsuits, but only 16 on this particular one. And they're suing Trump for stopping this, or the Department of Transportation, I think, is who actually, they actually stopped the funding. But this is one of the many boondoggles that are no longer going to be funded. Of course, some district judge somewhere is going to say that Trump has to fund this, and then it's going to go to an appellate court, and appellate court's going to put that on hold, and blah, blah, blah. So again, we'll see this fought in the courts. California allows Tesla to continue sales in the state for now. I think this is hilarious, first off. They're pissed off that the self-driving cars that Tesla sells, they're saying are mislabeled or misidentified. They claim that they're able to drive themselves autonomously, when in reality that's not true. You need to sort of touch the wheel, or every so often, or whatever. I think there's even some technology they're building into it now to make sure you're actually looking at the road and stuff along those lines. So California been trying to sue these guys for not properly talking about the autonomous and how it's not as autonomous as they would say. Now, they were trying to stop manufacturing, which I think is interesting, because I thought they moved a lot of that stuff out of California. Maybe there's still some in California, but certainly California has no right to stop manufacturing of a company that's manufacturing in other states. They could certainly try to stop the sale of those vehicles in their own state. Again, this is California being stupid, says a Californian. We're good at that, by the way. We're very good at that. In fact, we are some of the stupidest people on the planet. Thank you very much. We're good at it. We're very good at being stupid. Extra good. Trust us on that one. Trust me, anyways. If you ask a regular Californian, they'll be like, no, man, we're not stupid. We're smart, man. By the way, they're making that legal. They changed it anyway, the class scheduling of it. We'll get to that story. Person of interest has been identified in the Brown University shooting, sources say. They haven't caught him yet. They think they know who it is. Now they're looking for him. We'll see. We'll see. Obviously, it was a horrible accident that happened. Epstein associate Ghislaine, as I like to call her, Ms. Maxwell, she's asked courts to set aside her conviction. She's the convicted co-conspirator of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. On Wednesday, asked a federal court to vacate or amend her conviction and 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking of minors and other offenses, and move that could complicate the release of the Epstein files as mandated by a new law. I find that part interesting. So because she's trying to clear her name or whatever, or essentially she's been trying to get out of this, she believes that the deal they made with Epstein should apply to her because she's one of the cohorts. All said, that's not gotten her anywhere. The Supreme Court wouldn't even see the case at all. They said, no, sorry. So this is her last-ditch effort. This is kind of a Hail Mary at best. We'll see. But, yeah, she's exhausted all other direct appeals. We'll see what happens. I don't think this is actually going to keep the Epstein files from coming out, but very well could be the reason why this is happening. Who knows, right? We'll see. She's saying there's new available evidence, and there's all sorts of stuff that's been coming out. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on it all. Democrats and how they managed to ruin everything. We've got a few stories there. HHS, they're investigating Tim Walz, Minnesota Dems, over potential misuse of federal funds to support illegal immigration. This particular story, a little different than some of them. They're hitting them from so many different levels. But the Somali-linked nonprofit Feeding Our Futures have received demand letters from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services as part of a federal investigation into whether taxpayer funds were improperly used to support illegal immigration. HHS Secretary Alex Adams, he confirmed the inquiry, saying the agency is seeking detailed information about how federal money was spent. Wondering how long they're going to drag their feet on that. This is obviously going to work very poorly for Minnesota. Minnesota is going to lose a huge amount of funding over the next few months. Huge amount of funding. Billions of dollars are going to be kept from Minnesota. And they're going to sue, of course, and some district judge is going to say you have to give them the money and it'll be appealed in that appeal process. So again, get ready for it. It's okay. Haitian migrants in Boston have been charged in a $7 million SNAP fraud scheme. $7 million fraud scheme with 2 people. You can only imagine how many others have likely been involved. How many others have broken the law? 2 managed to finagle $7 million of funds. So again, we've got Haitians and Somalians, 2 different groups of people. Again, not trying to disparage people, but these are extremely crime-ridden areas of the planet. Haiti and Somalia are 2 of the worst places on this planet when it comes to law, when it comes to government, when it comes to anything like that. So again, when you import a bunch of people that are culturally criminal, no offense, not trying to be mean to you, Haiti or Haitians, but culturally speaking, from your country's standpoint, yeah, y'all, crime is what you guys do. That's what you do. That's what you lettered in high school, right? That's what you got your gold medal in when it came to the Olympics of fraud. You guys are experts for sure. One-party rule: Maryland Democrats ignore power bill crisis. They're going to go ahead and push ahead with slavery reparations, because there's 0 people alive right now that were actually slaves. There are 0 people alive that are slave owners. I mean, unless you count China and the Uyghurs. There's still slavery there. We don't seem to care about that at all. That's the funny part, I think. But we're going to go ahead and try to give money to people of color because they come from the lineage of slavery, which is interesting. Again, so we'll see how this all plays out. Again, this is something that's kind of unfair from a standpoint of if you give money to one group of people and not others, then you're sort of discriminating. So that's not legal. And then, again, for all the people that are like, yeah, you say that as a white man, and it's like, well, yeah, but you've never been a slave. Just shut the fuck up, okay? I don't care what color you are. You've never been a slave. ever. Maybe someone in your family was. They should get the money, but oh yeah, they're dead. So fuck off. No, none of you guys get any fucking money for slavery. That's friggin' stupid. But California Democrats, they're actually doing it. San Francisco, a place that has zero money, by the way. Zero money.
We'll move now to a story we've been following for several years. Reparations for black San Franciscans are back on the table.
And today, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors passed a measure that would create a fund designed to help black people who have been harmed by past city laws, including redlining from the 1950s through the 70s.
ABC 7 News political reporter Monica Madden is digging into the story for us. Monica, how much money would be added into this fund?
Dan and Amma, that's the kicker here. As things stand right now, the city is not appropriating a cent towards this reparations fund that might have made it easier to get the board's full support when the city is in a financial deficit. But supporters say at the least this sets up the framework for actual funding in the future.
I think it means repair.
As a descendant of slaves, James Taylor has long advocated for reparations.
My own hands have touched my grandfather's hands, and my grandfather touched his grandfather's hands, and that was a slave. So think about how recent that is and how economically the empty hands of my grandfather left me with nothing because the empty hand of his grandfather, who started in slavery, left him nothing.
Taylor says he's pleased San Francisco is revisiting the issue after the city rejected a controversial proposal to pay a lump sum of $5 million to qualifying black residents in 2023.
This most certainly is different than asking the city to pony up dollars to support reparations recommendations.
Supervisor Shaman Walton's ordinance merely sets up the fund to receive money either appropriated by the city or privately donated.
It's going to take some time. We got to build a pot and then, of course, come up with the criteria in terms of how we're going to prioritize what recommendations we address first. But this is a major first step.
Some of the city's previous recommendations for black reparations range from assistance with down payments for buying a house, improved access to education, and cash payments.
Redlining, making us pay taxes for education where our children couldn't go to those certain schools, pushing us out, gentrification. There's so many things that have been done to us systemically, and we have seen populations, we have seen races, we have seen ethnicities receive reparations. But we have not seen that for the black population.
If funded, San Francisco would be one of the first major U.S. cities to actively offer reparations for black residents.
So who would be eligible? Black San Franciscans who can prove that they were harmed by past discriminatory city policies or prove lineage tied to slavery in the U.S. could tap into this fund once there's money. And worth noting, though, part of the pushback in the past was the cost, with San Francisco's repeated budget shortfall in recent years.
It's zero money. There's no way in hell. And second off, by the way, and all these people, I've been hurt. Fuck off. Here's the thing. President of the United States, Barack Obama, black. You know, maybe questionable whether or not he was there legally. We have a black Supreme Court justice. We have all sorts of black people that are in Congress. Fuck off, okay? Big giant middle finger, guys. Okay? Everybody's got the ability. Oh, I'm a victim. Fuck off again. You're a victim only because you call yourself a victim. Get out from underneath your own shadow. Get out there and work your butt off. Stop trying to look for a handout. That's so fucking ridiculous. Dan, that's racist. Fuck you too. Good God. The HUD Secretary Turner, 59% of illegal alien families are on one or more welfare programs. 59% of illegal alien families are on one or more welfare programs. They shouldn't be here. Certainly, if you can't afford to be here, you shouldn't be here. If you're needing us to pay your way to be here, you shouldn't be here. Normal citizenship, you get sponsored. Sponsor has to pay that. We actually have a story. Here it is. The sponsor actually has to pay the difference. So, Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill saying if you are a sponsor of an immigrant who uses welfare or other taxpayer-funded benefits, you are responsible for the cost. This week, I sent letters to sponsors demanding repayment. Yeah, that's how citizenship's supposed to work. You get sponsored. Sponsored realizes, hey, if this person can't pay their way, I need to pay it for them. Not the federal government, not the taxpayers, me, the sponsor. Period. Border Patrol boss squares off with progressive Chicago area mayor over immigration raids. It's kind of a funny the way it played out. He said the abuse has not been acceptable. The racism has not been acceptable. The violence has not been acceptable. This is what the former Illinois gubernatorial candidate who's running for Congress is saying. I think it's this douche. Oh, this is the mayor. Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss. What a dork. But there is, he's like basically, so yeah, what's going on? Why are you here? And he's like, we're here for all the crime and the huge upsurge in crime. He's like, I'm not aware of any of this upsurge in crime. And he's like, yeah, that's the problem. You're not aware. Maybe you should be more aware. So Bovino did a brilliant job. That's this fella right here. He's badass. This dude's friggin' awesome. He's like Homan. And Homan chose well on this guy. He's like, this is a no-nonsense. He's like me right now. He's just going to say, fuck you. That's what he's going to say, right? And that's what he should say. And that's what he does say. Like all this stuff, all these guys are wearing masks. Masks are illegal in Illinois. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. I'm not wearing mine. There you go. How you feel about that? He's wearing it. He's wearing it. He's wearing it. He's wearing it. By the way, with his hat off, I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody that sort of knows this dude knows exactly who he is. But yeah, because of the crime and danger that these folks have been facing, yeah, fuck you, Mr. Biss. I'm going to say the F word so many times today, which you've probably figured out. Today's an F word kind of day. Feels good. Feels good. FBI memo details half a dozen pay-to-play allegations involving Hillary Clinton and her foundation. Probably ones that the FBI failed to do anything about prior. But now we've got a Department of Justice that actually believes in justice. Trump tried to be nice to Hillary Clinton. I think this has always been the plan. I think that was always the plan, that they knew they were going to steal the election with Biden. I think all this has been the plan. Like, I think we hoped. I think there was high hopes, but I think ultimately this was always known. We needed to see. We needed the comparison. We needed literally a sandwich, a Trump sandwich with Biden as the filler, right? Trump's the bread, Biden's the filler. It's probably not even real. It's probably made from artificial, lab-grown meat and shit. Probably not even meat because it's, of course, Biden. So, newly released internal investigative records shows FBI agents and federal prosecutors pursued multiple lines of inquiry into the Clinton Foundation and State Department actions during Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State, including whether foreign donations were tied to the U.S. policy decisions. Career investigators viewed several matters as potentially criminal, but the probes were repeatedly halted or delayed by senior FBI and DOJ leadership. We know Uranium One's a very, very serious one. That's one of the half dozen. Documents released by Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley and turned over by FBI Director Kash Patel and AG Pam Bondi detail how investigations openly in early 2016 across FBI field offices in New York, Little Rock, and Washington. Agents examined issues including Uranium One, foreign government donations, and alleged pay-to-play schemes. The leadership decisions slowed or blocked progress, often citing disputed statute of limitations arguments. Internal timelines show agents were barred from issuing subpoenas, asking prepared questions of Clinton, or advancing investigative steps. Senior officials, including then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates and then FBI Director Andrew McCabe, are cited as obstructing or limiting the inquiries, leaving multiple cases unresolved despite interview notes, intelligence summaries, and investigative plans identifying outstanding actions. No charges were ever brought, and the investigations ultimately stalled. The records depict a pattern in which Clinton-related probes were curtailed while other politically sensitive investigations proceeded, raising new questions about unequal enforcement and political interference within the FBI and DOJ during the 2016 election period. And then there was the whole, they raided Mar-a-Lago even though they didn't have legal right to do so. They did not have probable cause. They had numerous other ways they could have handled it. Yet, they raided it, did it on camera, went into and messed around with the wardrobe. I can't wait till Trump brings those images out. Because again, they told Trump to turn off his security cameras. He never did, nor would he. Yeah, they're off. I turned them off. So, we've got proof. That's going to come out. There's so much damning proof. Well, it's going to be beautiful when it finally does get here. Liz Harrington put this out. This one just Blew my mind. Whoops. Good way to start. Fulton County admits 315,000 early votes were counted in 2020 that weren't witnessed and sworn to in violation of the law. 315,000. That's determinative. Determinative? I think I said that almost right. But it even gets worse, unfortunately. The machine seals were broken during the live election, and the results from early voting were printed out on machines that had broken seals. Yeah, no, so much is coming out, guys. And the Tina Peters thing's going to come to fruition here, too. And again, all of this played out the way it was supposed to. Thank God Tina's making it. She's tough. She's a very tough lady. And this was part of her mission in life, unfortunately. It sucks balls with a Z. Otherwise, that would be gross. But she's going to be one of the things that's going to break this wide open, or help. She's going to be one of our witnesses, if you will. And they know it. And even keeping her in jail, they can't stop what's coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. Inflation unexpectedly tumbles to 2.7%. So now we've got the Fed didn't really lower the interest rate enough because inflation's totally going down. And on top of that, the Fed's actually buying a bunch of treasury bonds or debt from other countries for that matter, which is probably going to create a form of inflation, or if not, more debt. So we got a weird thing kind of going on right now, but yeah, inflation's way lower than it's supposed to be, which is fantastic. And even still, gold and silver are on the rise. Not necessarily today. I think today they're down a little bit. Stock market's up a bit today. NASDAQ was way up earlier. It was up, quite a bit. Looks like it's peeling off a little of those gains. But again, there's always this funny, there's something that happens in the news every single time, right? Right here, spiky, right? And then, another good news came out. So stupid. My point is none of this makes any sense, and for a reason. It's not real. They're reactionary, and I think most of this is just nonsense. And if anything, it's probably people like BlackRock and Vanguard and some of the biggest finance arms around, and they're moving money around because of these potential stories, you know. We've got such a mess going on. Gold down a teeny bit. Silver's, again, yesterday it was up like $3 or some shit. So silver's at 65. It's still way up in such a short period of time, but it's down $1.90 today. Again, this up, down nonsense it's them trying to hold back what's happening. They hate the fact that silver's exploding. This is such a huge problem for the establishment. Huge problem. And again, such a great time to be alive right now. Such a great time to be alive. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, protect your wealth. Get it transferred out of their system, their inflationary dollars, their Federal Reserve notes that are crap, right? Tied to stocks that are in a bubble that is waiting to pop. Gold and silver's not popping anytime soon because this process that we're going through, which is the collapse of the Federal Reserve, the collapse of the deep state. That is creating some disharmony in the world that's going to affect stock markets. That will affect how many of those crap Federal Reserve dollars you're going to get. So that right there is one thing that's a problem. Get out while you can. Get out while you're ahead. Get out while the stock market's close to as high as it's ever been. On top of that, with the inflation and with the crashing of the Federal Reserve note, gold and silver are going up. And silver is going up at an accelerated rate or a multiplied rate. And it's really because of the utilizations of silver, the fact that silver's been held down with paper contracts for so long. Literally, they'd take one coin. They'd literally put it on a pallet. I'm sort of simplifying it. I mean, there's usually lots of silver on the pallet, but they put the one coin on the pallet, and then they'll sell 20 paper contracts against this one coin. Each one of those paper contracts, somebody could say, hey, I want that silver coin, give it to me. And they would have to. If all 20 said, I want that silver coin, they've only got one of them. This is partially why silver is multiplying, because some of that is getting resolved. And as that does get resolved, silver is going to spike hard. Now, again, it's unfortunate. Silver's worth about $65. 1 ounce, one coin. Okay, 1 ounce, one coin, $4,300. See, this is a larger storage of wealth, right? You don't need nearly as many of these to stack up to get to 100 grand as you do these. You got to stack a butt ton of these up to get to 100 grand. Whatever you've got in your account, you want to consider splitting it because, again, it's precious metals. It's physical metals. They're put into a trust. They're actually in a physical location. And you can't just have endless room, right? Like, that's because it's actual physical metals. And you can have those physical metals sent to you. So Goldco's going to move them tax-free and penalty-free. As much as that money from your 401k or IRA, as much of that money sideways over into precious metals, literal physical metals. On top of that, they're going to give up to $10,000 free silver to you. Up to $10,000 of free silver. So you got a $100,000 401k, or at least maybe you've got $500,000 and you want to move $100,000 at this point just to protect $100,000 of it, to vest, they would say. You're going to get $10,000 in free silver also for moving over that $100,000. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. And when you do put in your 4 data points, if you are able to call within 20 minutes, because the second you hit this, yes, send me my free gold and silver playbook, a pop-up's going to happen. And if you can call the phone number within 20 minutes, you're going to get that free Ronald Reagan coin, which is super cool, right? Super cool. I think you're going to be stoked on that one. It's half ounce, 0.999% pure. It's worth essentially $32.50 right now. Pretty good deal. And it's a collector's edition, so it's worth more than that even. But just even at silver's prices, and the prices of silver are expected to break 100. Not by the end of this year, most likely by the first quarter, easily, of next year. And we'll likely see within a year or two, $200 gold. Or silver, $200 silver. It's coming. Be on the front side of that. Get a bunch of silver while you can. There is some limitations, not in getting it. Goldco's awesome. They've got multiple suppliers, but that's the problem, is there's some larger contracts out for silver that there's not enough silver out there to fill those contracts. That's going to cause prices to spike as well. Get out now while you can. Divest some of it anyways. Be smart. Protect your wealth, your buying power. And that's literally what you're doing. This same gold coin's been able to buy me a handmade tailored suit since 1913, all the way up until now. It'll still buy me a handmade tailored suit. One gold coin. Doesn't matter that it used to cost $20 and now that costs $4,300 to get a handmade tailored suit. It's still one gold coin. That's how it protects. Gold protects. Silver, there's a multiplier. Take advantage of it. Get the up to 10% free silver. My friends at Goldco are awesome. Best customer service you're ever going to get. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. DRS. Dan Radio Style. drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system while you can. Donald Trump talking about how he inherited a mess and says he's fixing it. And I don't think I've got his whole speech. I was actually going to play it, but I don't think I do have it at this point. If you guys could check it out. It was only about 20 minutes, 18 minutes, something like that. It wasn't that exciting, so I'm really glad I didn't live stream it. That would have been stupid. But he did say, he inherited a mess 11 months ago, and he's fixing it. And he is. He's making all sorts of inroads. Drugs brought in by ocean and sea are now down 94%. Much of the success has been accomplished by tariffs. Tonight, I'm also proud to announce 1.45 million military service members are going to receive a special one-time payment called the Warrior Dividend before Christmas. Interestingly, it's $1,776. That's kind of cool, isn't it? $1,776. Trump's doing that obviously on purpose and to motivate his wonderful military. I believe these checks have already gone out, so they hopefully will receive them prior to Christmas, which I'm quite sure many of these veterans' families or these military members' families are going to very much appreciate. And for all the single dudes in the military, that's a lot of drinking, baby. It's a lot of good times. House passes GOP health care bill without Obamacare subsidy extension. They've also got this, the ACA vote, the 3-year extension. They managed to pass that. That's going to require a month, I believe, something to that effect. It's one of the laws or rules within the House that they got to wait 30 days to actually bring it to a vote in the House. So that'll put it into January where they will vote on that ACA thing. Hopefully it passes by then. A lot of people are pissed off at Johnson. They feel he's lost control of the party. I don't think he necessarily ever had control of the party. I think he's still the best choice. I'm going to say that over and over. I like the guy a lot. But you've got a whole bunch of people like Massey, Green. You've got people like that are sprinkled about, and they fudge everything up. I don't know why they fuck everything up. That feels better. Pretty sure I lost all the people with children already. So, yeah. All said, we're getting there. Now, this is a very interesting point made by Ben Stein. I assume he's dead. I think he's dead, isn't he? No, Ben Stein was brilliant. I liked him a lot. Paradoxical quote of the day from Ben Stein. Fathom the hypocrisy of a government that requires every citizen to prove they are insured, but not everyone must prove they are a citizen. Now add this. Many of those who refuse or are unable to prove they are citizens will receive free insurance paid for by those who are forced to buy insurance because they are citizens. We get punished as citizens for being citizens, and then the people that aren't citizens get everything for free. They don't have to do shit. That's just annoying. U.S. House, they just passed their legislation to criminalize transgender surgeries. This was actually Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill. I still dislike her with most of my heart. But needless to say, this is cool. So they passed. It's never going to go through the Senate, by the way, but they passed it in the House. Cool. But yeah, this will criminalize transgender surgeries, hormones, and treatments for minors. I don't know if that's legal or not. That'll ultimately end up in the Supreme Court's hands. It's questionable whether this is legal. I would say it's probably not legal. Again, I'm not supporting transgender surgeries, hormones, and treatments and stuff like that. I just, I know the deep state, and I know they got a bunch of bad judges out there. So we'll see. That's going to be an interesting one. That'll be a very interesting one. Here's another example of bullshit. So the 3-panel appeals court recently said Trump can fire people from the Consumer Bureau. Now the full appellate court has decided, and this is D.C., of course, they overturned that 3-panel ruling, and this now means that Trump can't fire them. So whatever, it's just one more that's probably going to have to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which is cool because they've already got a few, and they've already, I thought, heard some arguments, and it was for 3 different groups. This doesn't happen to be one of them, but they might be able to set it as a general rule with any, there is no organizations that are allowed to be within the federal, with the executive branch that is not controlled by the executive branch. There can be no impartial groups that just kind of don't get voted in, that not accountable to anybody. That's not legal. So again, the Supreme Court's going to rule that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to go in that general direction just across the board, that you're not allowed to have these little hidden groups, if you will, that they can stop the president from doing things, or they can do whatever the hell they want, spending executive funds when Trump is the executor of the executive branch. Appeals court sides with Trump, allows National Guard to stay in Washington, D.C. I'm sure the same judges here will turn that over again, right? Watch. But anyways, yeah, so this is one more loss for them, but we'll see. But he's allowed to keep those National Guard in D.C. at least. AP posted this. Trump administration moves to dissolve National Climate Research Lab in Colorado. They are dismantling this group, the National Center for Atmospheric Research. White House Budget Director Russ Vought labeling it a major source of climate alarmism. A comprehensive review is underway with essential functions like weather research relocating to another entity or site. The lab, managed by a nonprofit consortium of over 130 universities for the National Science Foundation, employs 830 people and supports research on severe weather, natural disasters, and climate change. A senior White House official cited 2 examples of the lab's woke direction, including funding an Indigenous and Earth Sciences Center and research linking air pollution to motor vehicles and oil operations. They're getting rid of all the stupid DEI stuff, and they're getting rid of all this green nonsense as well. Of course, this is going to end up in a court. The court's going to say you can't do that. It's all playing out the way again, we've seen this happening over and over. Now, here's the purpose of the thumbnail, and I don't have better information for you. I wish I did. Kind of curious if we're going to hear about anything, or if they were just moving to a site where they could be utilized, or maybe they were just going up, doing some practice stuff. Who knows? But people talk when they see stuff happen, so in a lot of cases, it's why you almost need to remove the F-22s from their normal base and maybe get them out there in the Puerto Rico airport, because we don't want people to necessarily see them taking off, because we talk too much here, and we don't necessarily want to give anything away. But multiple F-22 Raptor jets, I wish we had a better number than multiple, but they took off from Langley Air Force Base. And apparently there was an unusually high demand for pizza around the Pentagon, which is a funny little statistic. I don't even know how people look that up. Seriously wonder how they looked that up. But yeah, needless to say, a lot of people may be planning on an op happening. So that could be in process. It could have happened already, and we haven't heard about it yet. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I've got something to talk about tomorrow in regards to that. U.S. lawmakers shoot down resolutions to halt strikes targeting Venezuela. 2 House votes cleared the path for continued U.S. military action in the Caribbean. Of course, Thomas Massie voted with the Democrats because Thomas Massie is a vagina. Or vagina adjacent, I think was a great line from 2.5 Men. Talking about Charlie was calling us brother. Pretty funny episode. Anyway. U.S. Southern Command, we took out another drug boat, and this just one boat this time, 4 people supposedly. Yeah, I can talk over this. I do wonder why they blurred this out. This has to be the optics or something interesting about, like that has to be classified in some weird way, I'm assuming, but I don't know why. Whatever, yeah, this just trips me out, but whatever's in this box, I'd love to know if maybe you can't mention it because it's technically classified. Whatever it is. I would assume it's the beam, like the laser. Probably, but I don't think they wanted us to see the lasing happening. It is interesting that it's slightly off center, but then again, all said. Craziness happening, folks. Craziness everywhere. All right, we got some interesting health news, that's for sure. You guys might like this. We have a study involving 1.7 million children. It found out that myocarditis and pericarditis only appear in children who have received COVID mRNA vaccines. Not a single unvaccinated child in the group suffered from these heart-related problems. So, as much as I hate to say it, but all the people that were just so sure they were right and still insist they were right and are actually mad that, Kennedy's looking into this and trying to get other science to come out. But if they forced their kids to get vaccinated and their kids ended up with myocarditis or pericarditis, it's your fault. Now, if your child was brainwashed enough like you because of school and chose to do this or asked to do this, it's the teacher's fault, it's the parents' fault, it's the media's fault. They damaged a lot of people with those shots. CDC ends universal hepatitis B vaccine mandate for newborns. This is one that's pissing off the left, which is funny. Again, hepatitis. The reasonings for it is stupid. Like, well, something might happen to your child, and then they'll have to get like a blood transfusion. And a lot of the blood, we don't test for hepatitis when people donate blood. So you might get hepatitis from the blood that you donate. It's like, really? That's where that's your reason for giving a child a sexually transmitted, like a shot for that? I kind of wonder if they're actually trying to give everyone hepatitis. Whatever. They're putting that one away, which is fantastic. American Academy of Pediatrics, they lose their HHS funding after criticizing RFK Jr. This is the funny one because everybody's going by the vaccine schedule based off the American Academy of Pediatrics instead of the CDC, because the CDC is actually doing the right thing. So American Academy of Pediatrics losing huge amounts of funding. Millions of dollars. 7 grants totaling millions of dollars are being taken away, including for initiatives on reducing sudden infant deaths, improving adolescent health, preventing fetal alcohol syndrome, and identifying autism early, according to documents obtained by the Washington Post. The abrupt loss of funds this week's surprisal. This is going to be tough for them. It's going to directly impact and potentially harm infants, children, youth, and their families and communities across the United States. Yeah, directly impact them, probably keep them alive longer. As long as they don't keep listening to these knuckleheads. as we've come to find out, these guys are all in bed with Big Pharma. So they're, tooting Big Pharma's horn. Trump's cancer panel, their chair, they want more formal studies of ivermectin HCQ as treatment options. This is fantastic. Again, another thing that Secretary RFK Jr. is trying to get the ball moving on. And he appointed Yale professor emeritus Harvey Risch as chair of the president's cancer panel within the National Cancer Institute. Again, an institute that exists solely, it will never go away if they figure out how to cure cancer. Now, hopefully we maybe have someone in there that might be able to figure out how to shut this institute down because we've finally cured cancer. That'd be cool. Risch told Just the News, America's Voice, that he wants rigorous studies on ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine as potential cancer treatments, noting anecdotal reports, but emphasizing the needs for formal evaluation to determine efficacy. TWC.health/OTF. TWC.health/OTF. The wellness company, man. Get hooked up. Get your Ivers. Get your Ivers before your stupid state decides to try to make it illegal. We'll see. Hopefully that it should lead to what we expect, but the studies have to be done. It takes time. Trump signs the executive order to officially reclassify marijuana, to Schedule 1 instead of Schedule 3, which is pretty awesome because Schedule 3 is essentially like heroin, which marijuana is definitely not like.
At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered in some cases. This may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers. They cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems. 40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical research, allowing us to study benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider its classification of hemp-derived CBD to ensure seniors can access CBD products they have found beneficial for pain and other reasons. Some people are literally dying, and they're dying with tremendous pain, and this can, in many cases, literally stop it. And they have their senses about them, as opposed to painkillers, which don't allow that, don't allow them to die with dignity, frankly. I promise to be the president of common sense, and that is exactly what we're doing. This is really something having to do with common sense, and it's something having to do with the fact that so many people that I respect ask me to do it. People that are having problems, big problems. They are having big problems with illness, with cancer in particular. I now want to ask Dr. Oz to say a few words, followed by Dr. Braun, Dr. Casseret.
They're all going to just get out there and just start taking hits from a bong. My Pillow. Gotta love these guys, especially for Christmas time. They got some good stuff. I don't know if you're going to get it in time, but you got a money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, and they've got just some incredible Christmas sale prices going on. Blowout on their pillows. Oops, it's not the right company, though. I actually want to do My Pillow. There we go, mypillow.com/OTF. Got their slippers, $39.98. The best slippers. These things are awesome. If you look at how thick that fuzz is, right? It's incredible. Look at that. I'd try to see if I can. Yeah, right? Look at that. It is so thick. So nice. The soles are stitched from the sides. They're like 7 layers. They're really good. And they're like rubber. So you can wear these outside. They're actually incredible. They've also got blankets, comforters, and duvets. Which is such a weird word. But yeah, the comforter is incredible. I use the 600 count comforter. It's down. It's amazing. And again, I've washed it. The pockets are stitched, so the down really can't go anywhere. So they wash really nice. They're incredible. They're just really, really nice. The old-fashioned down ones that all, travel down to the bottom of the thing. It was horrible. Horrible. These things are incredible. One of the greatest inventions. I actually use it year-round, believe it or not. Granted, I'll put the AC on. I mean, I don't let my house get too hot at night, that's for sure. Got to sleep. Come on, man. Right? But all said, they've got these children's Bible story pillows that are so popular. 5-packs, too. For $30, you get 5 of these pillows, which for a lot of you guys, you've got grandkids and kids. Well, probably don't have, 5's probably enough, right? You can probably cover at least a good chunk of them, at least the ones that might enjoy them, appreciate. The Mike Ross necklace, Mike Lindell, he's got 2 of these. They're sterling silver. They're pretty nice. Again, it's sterling silver. Don't get too terribly excited, but you can save 50% off. Those are very, very, very cool, but that's not the same thing as this by any stretch of the imagination. So don't necessarily consider it. Don't buy it for that reason. Buy it for the sentimental reason, the beauty of it. It's a beautiful crucifix, that's for sure. Best socks ever right here. $3.99 a pair. It might seem expensive. This is the best dang sock I've ever used, ever. In fact, I've literally had to get better at putting them on because this part down on the foot is so tight. I couldn't grab it with my fingers. I couldn't pinch it. It's so tight, and it doesn't leave rings. It's not tight like that. It just fits your foot, and it's really because of these little stripy things, I think, help keep it bound in, and then it is reinforced in all the places you need reinforcing. It's just a really well-made sock. It's weird. I did not think that sock technology could improve. Like I said, I destroyed one of these because I couldn't get it on, and I tugged it from the upper part to just try to force my foot all the way in, and it broke, and it sucked. So don't do that. Now when I put them on, I grab it really good and then just make sure I push my toe all the way to the end. And if I get my toe all the way to the end, everything works out beautifully. But if I don't, and then I try to cinch it, oh my God, they're brutal. And again, buy a pair and tell me I'm wrong. You guys will trip on it. It's one of the best made socks I've ever worn. Weird as hell. I never would have thought. Best made towels too, by the way. You guys check out their towels. They are amazing how well they dry. They are soft. They're beautiful. They feel like a terry cloth robe. You know, just they've got that perfect feel to them. They don't have all the weird chemicals, so you don't feel like, I don't know, like some towels you touch them and it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like there's something on your fingers now. It's weird. Not these. And like I have one section by the shower door, the little handle, and I'll just take my little hand towel and I wipe it, just one wipe, and it takes off the little bit of water that's there. It's not like it leaves those lines where you got to go over it a second time. No, it's incredible. They're better than Bounty. Bounty Quicker Picker Upper? Nah, it's got nothing on these towels. These towels are better. Better than Bounty. That's how good they are. They're incredible. Very limited quantity. Great quality. They are a number of colors too. $39.98. You can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong. They're incredible. Again, a great energy drink. They've got so much good stuff. Dog beds. If you actually love your animals, you should have my pillows for your dogs to just sleep on. Why wouldn't you? I mean, come on. That's cruel if you don't have dog beds made by My Pillow for your dogs. I mean, why are you using the pillow and your beloved little animals don't? Again, $14.98. Right there. If you got a small dog, you can get one of those maybe. Right? And there's your dog. There's your bed. Mixie Mutt or whatever name you gave it to your doggy. MyPillow.com/OTF. That's MyPillow.com/OTF. MyPillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you've ever had. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. All right, some crazy stuff going on in Europe and the world and all that nonsense. Spain, foreigners. They're committing 5 times more rapes, 4 times more murders than Spaniards. Just study finds. So 5 times more of the rapes are done by people that are not from the country versus people that are from the country, and 4 times more murders than people that live in the country from not in the country. Yeah, that's bad numbers. Europe's waking up to the fact that this immigration thing's stupid. We'll see. U.S. approved sale of $11 billion worth of arms to Taiwan. Hopefully the legs will come. We'll see. But they did give some pretty crazy stuff. They got some HIMARS rocket systems, howitzers, which are 155 millimeter big gun things. Pretty awesome. They shoot pretty far. Anti-tank missiles. They're also extremely accurate. And you can use, I don't know if the HIMARS will fit in that or not, but you can put some, there's some pretty cool stuff. There's a really neat, I forgot the name of the system, but there was like 4 of them where literally they could sit there in one place and they could shoot like a really high arcing shot. So they'd ba-boom, 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 and they would lower and all of them would land at the same basic time. Like, it was incredible. I forget what the name of the system was. It was very, very cool. And this was a while ago. This was back probably in the late 90s or something. So, yeah, the howitzers are surprisingly powerful. I'm putting a bunch of those on the coast when China's about ready to try to come in. That'll be helpful. They got a bunch of anti-tank missiles, drones, and other equipment. Also, got some $1 billion worth of Javelin and tow missiles. Military software, $1 billion, which is going to help all sorts of things. They've got a bunch of tow missiles, Javelins, They've got helicopter spare parts. And they got these refurbishment kits for the Harpoon missiles, which I'm reasonably sure, I'm almost 100% sure. These are kits that they use to make a Harpoon, which is normally an air-launched missile from an airplane. The F-16s or the F-15s, they got a few different choices probably. But they can be launched from the ground now, from ground launchers. So there is a refurbishment kit that I think allows them to do that. And that's really cool because ultimately, they're anti-ship missiles, and they're very good at being anti-ship. And they literally have a range that could go all the way across the harbor and literally shoot the boats while they're sitting in the harbor. They've got that kind of range. So, yeah, this has pissed China off a lot. Let's just put it that way. A lot. China's very unhappy about this. Not sure what they're going to do, but I think Trump's like, we're going to give them the best chance at survival that we can and make some money off the process. Woohoo! CCP exploits U.S.-funded research on nuclear technology. This is annoying, but obviously many, many examples of this type of stuff happening. And we need to be aware of it, and we need to stop it, and we need to stop our schools from selling out our own country. The schools are where most of the communism is, it seems. This has to change.
And lawmakers are sounding the alarm after an investigation uncovers how the Chinese Communist Party is exploiting U.S. taxpayers to fund its own military and technological rise, including sensitive nuclear technology. NTD's Melina Weisskopf reports.
In the past 2 years, $6 billion worth of research and more than 4,000 papers published within the Department of Energy involved collaboration with Chinese researchers. Half of that research is fueling China's defense and industrial base. Some of the Chinese entities involved are among the leading universities for defense and nuclear weapons research. This is according to a newly released report by the Select Committee on the CCP. The report is not hypothetical, congressional investigators say, detailing hundreds of instances in which Chinese researchers received awards after their collaboration with U.S. researchers led to breakthroughs. For example, collaboration with a U.S. professor helped the CCP in its research into high-yield explosives and Chinese nuclear weapons development. At the same time, lawmakers are pushing legislation to stop Americans from unknowingly propping up CCP entities that threaten U.S. national security. Congressman Andy Barr and Senator John Cornyn leading on the Fight China Act.
We're codifying President Trump's America First investment policy with this legislation, which will stop the flow of capital and know-how into these sensitive technologies that threaten our national security.
The chairman of the China Committee described the situation as deeply alarming and called on the Department of Energy to stop the exploitation and protect hard-earned taxpayer dollars. To address this, lawmakers are calling for tighter rules, like requiring the government to disclose research ties with China. The Department of Energy said it's reviewing the report and vows to ensure the integrity and security of DOE programs. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
NTD, please do me a favor. Bring back Alice Tang, okay? I literally intentionally don't use some of your material because Alice isn't there anymore. I would use your material more if you bring back my girl Alice. I did see her. She's still working there. She's just not on the places that Dan likes to be. Australian counterterrorism unit, they rammed a car, which it's weird that this is in the story. That rams the car. I mean, apparently we've got this camera footage showing it. We'll play it. I haven't actually looked at it. But they arrested 5 men suspected of planning violence. They were apparently heading towards the Bondi Beach area. Apparently that's how they pronounce it. I finally heard somebody say it. Bondi. Go Aussies. You guys rock. All said. Here's the video. I hope it's worth it. There's no crash. I mean, I guess they slammed into it, or I don't know. It's just stupid. Obviously, these are soldiers, and they've got actual guns, unlike anyone else. Still, some badass dudes. Don't mess with the Australian military, mate. Don't even do it for a second. Not even. Don't think about it. Trump's Treasury sanctions Mexican cartel and some of the bosses. This is kind of a big deal. Of course, Scott Bessent, one of the all-time rock stars that are in the administration right now. The sanctions on the Mexican fuel theft organization Cartel de Santa Rosa de Lima and its leader, Jose Antonio Yepes Ortiz. He's known as El Marro. Don't you love it when they do that on TV, right? Every time there's a Spanish word, they like overpronounce it. They sound like me all the time, and they got like Jose Antonio Yepes Ortiz. And other people told us recently, as they look at the other camera, bastards, all of them. I do it too. Just because, it's fun. Frankly, I do it. I'd do it with other words too if I could. I just like Chinese. I can't pronounce any of that shit properly, and then Russian. I don't know. I'm getting there. According to Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, CSRL, they've built this lucrative criminal enterprise by stealing fuel and crude oil from Mexican state-owned energy company, Pemex. The cartel allegedly bribes Pemex insiders, taps pipelines, hijacks tanker trucks, and intimidates employees to facilitate the theft. Stolen fuel and crude oil are then sold throughout Mexico, the United States, and Central America, with crude oil frequently smuggled into the U.S. while falsely labeled as waste oil. Yeah, you realize how many truck drivers we're no longer going to allow to bring oil into this country via the southern border, or even the northern border for that matter? All of this is going to be for reasons, and they got to stick as far as laws are concerned, but this is because we've got a lot of the deep state, the illegal portions of this planet, are smuggling and finagling everything they do because of the money they're making. And when you cut off the money, you very quickly starve them. They don't have a lot of funds. Most of them are living paycheck to paycheck, if you will. Their paychecks are ginormous. They're funding a lot of stuff. And then, some of it goes straight into a few individuals' pockets and they become uber rich. They don't share. But again, not hard to steal their money back from them either, right? Think about how much money Maduro probably has in the bank account or in the multiple banks scattered all over the place, Virgin Islands. And most of them are owned by Britain, by the way. The banks are literally British banks. Virgin Islands and a few of the other ones that everyone always sends their money overseas. I don't actually have them memorized because, frankly, that's not a problem I live with at the moment. I guess it'd be a cool problem to have, but at the same time, I feel like that's a little illegal, I don't necessarily want to be the illegal guy in the room, right? Everybody else is law-abiding, and I'm like, I gotta go. I don't want to be here right now. I feel uncomfortable. Yeah, so we're putting a stop to all that. Venezuelan Navy begins escorting oil tankers after Trump's blockade order. This I'm very curious about. First off, Venezuela's Navy is a pittance. There's not very many ships. They are tiny. I'm wondering if we would be ballsy enough to just literally fly a helicopter in and take it anyway, or, have something else involved. Venezuela, let me give you a hint. Venezuela. All your military ships that you currently have, in port especially, I would highly recommend you get some divers out and look at the bottoms because they probably got bombs on them. And there's other ways we'll get you anyways, but I would look, and you'll probably find some interesting things. It's not like you have that many ships, so yeah, you might want to get a good light, good handheld light, couple scuba divers, right? Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus for all you trivia people out there, huh? Farmers and police are clashing in front of the EU headquarters. I don't know what the hell's going on with this one. This is fun. The farmers have been pissed, and I love when they just go to town with the tractors. I don't know. Let's check it out. See what we see. Looks just like Antifa, though. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. They're obviously not happy. Just burning tires. This is very Antifa-esque. And they're just bringing in... Wow. They're just dropping off their own shit. Yeah, that's more than Antifa. Antifa's never been able to organize to that level. So, yeah, this is... First off, all you greenies out there... European? All you green European people... Dude, you know how much greenhouse gases you're releasing? You're burning tires. Those are those are horrible. You should never burn tires. Whatever. I feel like saying the F word one more time, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to refrain this one time. Either way, the EU loses when it comes to Russia. So they're the big question is about whether or not they're going to steal the frozen Russian assets. They want to. The World Bank's basically saying that's illegal. You can't do that. And they're like, we want to do it anyway. Can we ask somebody else? Hey, what about you? It's illegal. Damn, what about you? It's illegal. Fuck you guys. Ursula would say. Fick du. That's actually German for fuck you. I know that. I had a soccer player stay at my house when I was younger. Fick du, Scheisskopf, Dummkopf. That's about all I knew. I don't know. Which was fuck you, shithead, dumbhead. Not good, but it'll get you moving in the right direction. Either way, the problem is they're going to possibly steal them anyway. They're actually putting a vote up right now to steal those assets. Boom, already done, guilty. Now it's an issue of which path of guilt will you end up on? Are you end up on the path of guilt where your member states actually think it's a horrible idea because it's illegal and they vote no? And now you, Ursula von der Leyen, are the one that literally wanted to break the law in order to accomplish your aims. You don't care about law. It's obvious. So no one's ever going to trust you. No Russian group is ever going to work with you. No American group will probably ever work with you. Europe just destroyed themselves, which is great because the EU needs to die. Europe needs to flourish as individual countries, but certainly not as a union. Now, the other side of this, what if Europe votes it in? Well, again, they're literally going to steal assets. No country is going to put their assets in play in Europe ever again. Europe loses both ways. They've put the vote up. Europe loses, period. Now it's just a path of which way are you going to lose? Europe, von der Leyen, and I don't mean Europeans. You guys, it's not you. It's the friggin' cabal that very much controls you guys. But again, most European countries are going heavily conservative right now, right? And they're trying to make it illegal. AfD group or whatever they're called in Germany, right? Trying to make them illegal, take them off ballots, literally have killed some people in cities. We've got other countries right now that are very heavily leaning in the conservative fashion right now. Everybody's pissed off because the conservative people are coming in and saying, fuck all this immigration stuff. And everyone's like, yes! Because everybody that's a person that lives in that country, that's an actual citizen, realizes the damage that's being done. Everyone's telling them there's no damage being done. You're silly. But they know better. And so anybody that comes in and says, I'm going to stop this, they're like, yes, finally. Russia's Oreshnik missile system is going to enter the service this year. They've had one battle test. It's been utilized in one attack, and it was, I think we had pictures of it too. It was hypersonic. It was multiple entry vehicles, and they're just like, thunk, thunk, thunk. I mean, it's just like, damn. Again, I think we've got some crazy stuff. A lot of people are very focused on hypersonic missiles. I think the United States went more in the laser direction, which is significantly faster. Light speed is much faster than hypersonic. So I actually think we went the right direction. I just don't think that we have really shown the world what we're capable of yet. I think Trump kind of showed some of the world leaders when he had them here. I think he took them down to one of the places and he was showing off what the likely the Golden Dome is capable of doing. I basically told him, look, you're either going to be under our umbrella or you won't be. Europe right now is trying to do it with, we'll do it ourselves. And it's like, all right, okay, you guys have shit weapons, but all right, that's cool. Good luck. Russia will kick your ass. We don't even got to worry about that. Russia would smoke Europe's abilities to put a war together. Again, Russia doesn't want to take over any other place. I really don't believe that at all. There's a lot of people that claim it. It's just nonsense. Russia's been very clear. I think Putin's much like Trump. He's been very, very clear about what he needs, wants, and is doing, period. And he's constantly been consistent. You know, people can hate it, they can dislike it, they can do whatever they want. But the fact of the matter is, it's happening, right? So Russia deploys its entire fleet of nuclear icebreakers to the Arctic. This is interesting. One, they're keeping them open. It's the middle of winter, and maybe they're trying to demonstrate that they're capable of creating or keeping shipping lanes open through the Arctic year-round, which is impressive because it is a much quicker way to get to the other side of the world than going all the way around the world and going through all the different gulfs and dangerous places. And right, so we've got a situation going on here. Poland ramping up its program to lay anti-personnel mines on its eastern border. This is weird. This shouldn't happen. Landmines, especially anti-personnel mines, are horrible. One of the worst things that's ever been invented. Princess Di was hugely fighting to stop that because it was killing a lot of kids. Very sad. So the fact that Poland's talking about doing that because they're so sure they're going to have this war with Russia. Poland has been very problematic. Poland's very divided too, and so we'll see. Yeah, Warsaw. They're trying to withdraw from their landmark 1997 anti-landmine treaty known as the Ottawa Convention. Poland began the process of withdrawal from the Ottawa Convention in August and had previously said it would start production of anti-personnel mines if needed, but that no formal decision has been taken. Zalewski's comments are the first confirmation from Warsaw that it will go ahead with the move. Warsaw, which was the other group, right? Wasn't that the Axis, the Allies in the Axis? Wasn't Warsaw? Whatever the case was. I know Poland got rocked in the war, World War II. It was a bad place at a bad time. Zelensky on U.S. president and NATO chances. He's basically saying, look, basically in a nutshell, presidents die. When Trump dies, then NATO will probably let me in. Literally what he said. It's a matter of politics. The world changes. Some live, some die. That's life. And I would say the same for you, Zelensky. You've already had one close call with a bunch of drones and your aircraft that you were flying on. It'd be strange if something happened to your airplane while you were landing or taking off. Who knows who'd be behind it? Of course, we'd blame Russia. But you've attacked Russia's house where his wife was supposed to be at. Just saying, something accidentally happened. It'd be a shame. Putin threatens territorial expansion in Ukraine amid stalled peace talks. He's like, look, here's the thing. Either we do the peace thing, you guys give me the land I'm saying that I want, and I'll give you back some of yours. You give me what I want, I'll give you some of yours. Or I'll take it. Take your pick. I don't actually have, it's so funny how we've tried, you Putin puppet, and they got nicknames like you're not allowed to support this dude. I like Putin. I don't even care. I don't care what anyone says. I like him. I know Trump likes him and respects him. Putin's doing what Putin's doing. He's worried about Russia. He doesn't give a shit about anybody else, and I don't blame him because everybody else hates him. We've been making movies here in the United States since the 80s on how horrible Russia is. Again, I got Russian friends, man. Russian people are great people. Great people. This is bullshit. All this hatred and stupid division. I hate it. Dislike it. Sorry. I dislike it. Ford's going to lay off 1,600 workers at a Kentucky EV battery plant. They're apparently going to pivot more into making batteries for data centers as backup or in case they lose power or stuff along those lines. Interesting idea. Probably something I would assume akin to the batteries, the power walls that Tesla makes. They're using the Powerwall 3 is the one they've currently got floating around right now. They hold something like 13.5 kilowatt hours of juice in them, which is not a lot, by the way. It's not a lot. 13.5 kilowatt hours of juice is not a lot. Air conditioners are typically using 4 to 5 kilowatts while it's on. Now, it's not generally on for hours at a time. Can be, though. So, yeah, the solar thing's interesting. It doesn't work nearly as good as people say or want, for that matter. Ancient RNA extracted from an extinct woolly mammoth is fueling this de-extinction dream idea. This actually thing was preserved very, very well. There's actual flesh that was preserved. They had the woolly hair, too. So they've been able to actually get some pretty solid gene action on this. The mRNA, or the RNA, essentially, and the DNA. So DNA kind of tells you a lot, but the RNA is sort of how the DNA is like used, if you will. So it's kind of interesting that we've got both, and they actually, with both, could very well actually create one of these critters. They might. I don't know. I mean, they're huge. It's like an elephant that's supposedly about 4 times the size of a regular elephant. It would be the largest land animal alive if we did create one that got to full size. They're not generally mean, to my understanding, and it's probably similar to an elephant, I would hope. I hope. Meta's choosing revenue over policing Chinese scam ads. Got some documents that are showing this. They made billions of dollars off these Chinese ads that had to do with illegal gambling, pornography, and child stuff, and all sorts of things that aren't okay. And China's just pushing these ads through, and Meta's not doing anything about it. I don't trust Meta at all, but it's just, The Kennedy Center board votes to rename the Trump Kennedy Center, to actually rename it as the Trump Kennedy Center. Kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I put it here because I feel like some of you guys care about that stuff. I think it's stupid. Every place Trump wants to put his name. Kind of bugs me a little, I'll be honest. I just think it's lame. Like, I'm not comfortable with that, but he's spent his entire life putting his name on all sorts of stuff, so I get it. And it's cool. I mean, he's done so much, like, so good on him. Like, put your name on everything, man. That's cool. Good for you. I just, my brain doesn't work like that. Like, I don't want my name on anything. Like, care less if anyone remembers me when I die. Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers, he died. 82 years old. I like that show. For the, 2 seasons it was on. I don't even know how long it was actually on. I was pretty young at the time, but I loved that show. That show was awesome. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So, yeah, he died. He was with his wife when he died. He was fighting pretty tough cancer, I guess. And he had an approved post that she was supposed to make. And basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it required me going to Facebook, and fuck Facebook. But Janet Gerard, Gil's wife, she said, I was by his side when my husband passed away this morning in hospice care. Below is the message he left. And he says, if you are reading this, then Janet has posted it as I asked her to. So I got a whole message in there, and so that's sad, but all of us are going to die at some point, most likely, anyways. Maybe much longer down the road. There's a strong chance that if we make it through this transition and we're still alive when that happens, that our the length of our life, I'm trying to think of the proper word for that, but whatever, the length of our life will be enhanced significantly. It'll probably get a lot closer to where it was back in the good old biblical days of Noah and all them. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Got a lot of cool things that we're supposed to experience. Things are definitely heating up and getting faster and faster and faster. So we're moving in a direction. How quickly it gets here, or how quickly we get to it, we'll see. This is so much fun. I'm loving it. Hope you guys are too. Make sure you've subscribed, hit that thumbs up, all that good stuff. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.